Bulavinaka, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, any minute the 5 p.m. update of the final national results will be on your mobile app and on the Fijian Elections Office website. So feel free to go through the update as we continue to enter the results into the result system. As we had initially announced, ladies and gentlemen, we anticipate completing the entry of results into the result system by 6 a.m. tomorrow, and if we are not done, we will then update you on the next publication schedule, which is anyway midday. But if we are not done by 6 a.m., we will then continue entering the results until we are done. But for now, we are targeting a 6 a.m. finish. However, that will be updated to you once we reach closer to 6 a.m. A substantial amount of results for certain divisions have been entered, but we are still entering to enter the results for some divisions. And at this point in time, we are dealing with the boxes that have come in where presiding officers have put the protocols of result inside the box, which actually should have been outside the box. So we have to open them in the presence of party agents and extract it, then have it sent for counting. That is an ongoing process. Usually, well, in the last two elections, counting would have finished right about this time, which is Saturday morning. But in this election, we finished counting yesterday, and because of that, we now have to ask agents to come, and we give them at least an hour or an hour and a half notice before we extract boxes for these kind of activities. Ladies and gentlemen, the counting already finished for this election, and as such, I understand that there is some information being peddled around that agents had been kicked out, etc., etc. The entire election counting had finished. That means that they are no longer required at the count center, and they were politely asked to leave. Their party registered officers had been informed, at least given 2-3 hours notice, but what they did is, instead of leaving the premises, they moved out of the tent and set up shop outside the tent. Now, the agents are no longer required because the ballot boxes are inside containers. Arrangements were made for the ballot box, the party agents to sit right in the view of all the containers and observe it as they wished. Some parties left, other parties did otherwise. So I understand that there are now some allegations that have been made regarding the agents being asked to leave. Well, counting had finished. Just like you left at the polling station, you also have to leave the count center. We can't have you bunking into the Vodafone Arena, which has been rented by the Fijian Elections Office. You have to go back home. You cannot be at the Vodafone Arena for the entire day and night, even though there is no activity happening. So we dismantled the tent, and today when we informed the parties that we will be doing the verification of boxes, we again invited them with an hour notice to send agents, and when we had a greater number of counting teams set up for verification, we gave the parties 1.5 hour notice before that they could come and get themselves organized. We have put a new set of tents that belong to the FEO for the parties to use, but that is not for them to camp there, cook and eat and sleep. It is basically for them to wait for the agent who is inside to come out, so that if they have to replace, that's what they do. What we found was that the agent's tent had become a place for people to come and cook, eat and sleep, and of course whilst there were people required inside the tent, there was a lot of these things happening outside the tent, which probably didn't look very professional. So now that that is clarified, ladies and gentlemen, the next point I wish to clarify is in relation to a voter turnout statistics that is being peddled around based on reporting by the Fijivillage, CFL's Fijivillage. And ladies and gentlemen, as you will note, that CFL's Fijivillage has clarified that the way they reported that article would have misled the voters into thinking that the turnout was about 51% at 5 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, please note, you can go and read the clarification, which I feel that I have to actually repeat here, is that the number that I had announced right here on election day at 5 p.m. and 4 p.m. was calculated or received from polling stations from 3:30 to 4 p.m. So that was the turnout until 3:30 to 4 p.m. at the polling stations. And from there onwards, of course, you had from 3:30 you at least had an hour and a half, 2 hours and a half before you could make it to 6 o'clock. So that means that there is substantial time for people to come, and we were all appealing to increase the turnout in the election. So I have noticed that various individuals have used this and assumed that the entire turnout was 51%. That is incorrect, and I would like to request them to read the clarification posted by CFL's Fiji Village, in which they have now exactly stated that the turnout as at 3:30 p.m. on election day was from 1,321 polling stations was 285,845. So this, of course, means that we had about 1,435 polling stations operational on the day, and the figure excluded the pre-poll and postal numbers. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, the total number of postal votes that have been received in this election and admitted to count is 8,820. That we can give you because postal verification has now been completed. And if I cannot give you the final turnout numbers today because the data entry for results from the protocol of results from the polling stations is ongoing. If I give you a number today, it will be minus that data that has not yet been entered. The FEO cannot give you a provisional data as well because at 6 p.m. when the polling stations closed, the presiding officers all turned the polling stations into counting stations and started counting the ballot. So the numbers that you can use as a provisional number would be the provisional results that we announced for election day venues, which was 353,247. That is from 1,200 or so polling stations, not 1,400. We can give you the exact turnout tomorrow. So that is the explanation on turnout. It is tentative figures, and of course the final exact numbers will be available tomorrow because we will be entering the data from signed protocols of results from polling stations. I would also like to turn to certain allegations made in various press conferences that have been taking place. Of course, the first one is from National Federation Party. I'd like to state categorically that the only communication we have received from the National Federation Party has been responded to, which was regarding free bus services on election day. Every other allegation that I have seen in the press conference made by the party leader in relation to the National Federation Party's concerns has not yet been written to us. Once we receive those in writing, of course, then we can respond to them and deal with it. Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the free public transport claimed by the National Federation Party, you will note that there is a section 13 of the Electoral Act which states that any person who is a supplier or an engaged agent of the Fijian Elections Office must not conduct themselves in campaign activities after the engagement. So, as far as we are concerned, every person who managed the bus and the carrier and the minivan services on the day was required by law not to be political. And if there is someone who has breached it, that's of course an issue that has to be reported to FICAC by anybody who alleges the breach. But as far as I can tell you today, there has been no such allegation. So we cannot purely rely on people's assumptions sitting in an office in Suva that there is going to be this happening and that happening. You need to have evidence. Speaking of evidence, ladies and gentlemen, a huge claim has been made today by once again the leader of the Fiji Labour Party, Mr. Mahendra Chaudhary, who is now claiming voter fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, this adds to the third time Mr. Chaudhary has made a huge claim against the election results in Fiji, first being in 2014, for which he had been bringing evidence to the FEO since 2014. Then again in 2018, Mr. Chaudhary made various claims about the election, and from 2018 till now, he is still on his way with the evidence. Now again in 2022, history repeats itself, and Mr. Chaudhary has made a grand claim about voter fraud evidence of which he has, but he will not release that yet. And I am surprised with the way the international media behaved in the earlier press conference. They did not push him to give the evidence. The gentleman from Australia, ABC, and the lady from New Zealand, I believe, did not push him to give the evidence of voter fraud, however, took it on face value. This is serious, ladies and gentlemen. And if there is voter fraud, step up with the evidence before you claim fraud. A lot of allegations are being thrown about in this election, and with the grandstanding that is happening around the credibility of the election, the point that I would like to make is, what if they win the election? As I said, only 1,200 polling station results had been announced. Fiji Times front page, ridiculously 2 days, targeting entire 1 page, 2 page, 3 page. Even your explanation on the anomaly in the results app is wrong, Fiji Times. What will happen? It will become a Donald Trump situation in Fiji. In your endeavors, the ABC's endeavor to discredit the entire electoral process, they forgot about the fact that it's not decided yet. Completely missed the important point that counting was manual, once again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will not say any more. That is my role. I have questioned it and I have left it there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one last point that I would like to make is in relation to certain claims by the People's Alliance in relation to protocols of results not being available to them. Now, the first and foremost I want to tell you is that on the other side of the wall, where I will take you for a walkthrough again, there are laptops placed for political parties to get their agents to sit there and download the scanned version of the original protocol of results and the result management system printout. Then they can take both of them, sit down in their office or in the cruise ship or wherever they want to, and they can go through the individual protocols of result and the result management system printout. That access is there. Previously, we used to give them printed versions, and it was of no use, because how will you transfer that information into your own result management software? We know that SODELPA, we know that People's Alliance and National Federation Party have got their own result management software. So we have made it easy for them for verification purposes. They can simply extract that data rather than having people do manual data entry sitting there with I don't know what level of authenticity. But I am baffled with the claims made by the leaders who apparently don't know that they have direct access to all that information from the Fijian Elections Office. So we tested the waters yesterday. We put up a photo when nobody was here from the parties and said results center party agents area, and surprisingly none of you picked it up that no agent was there. Here we go, so many claims and requests and allegations, and no questions from Leader Mavono to the leaders about where are your party agents at the result center. It's all about reporting negativity. It's all about reporting negativity. It doesn't fit in their pre-planned agenda. It is so disruptive that a person does not ask this question, even though I have taken you through many walkthroughs. The other point, so today we received a bizarre Viber message from the People's Alliance General Secretary, and he said, can you please give us all the protocols of result? 2 days ago, I actually showed you that his own party staff downloaded the results and walked away with it. And this is the reply he gives me today. He said, there is a lot of moving parts, sir. We will handle it. How many moving parts do you have? It's only one political party. So, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and what the left hand doesn't know, the right hand doesn't know, and the leader doesn't know either hands. You are calling the integrity of the election into question, but you don't know that your party already has all this information. Ladies and gentlemen, it is rather sad at this occasion that I have to say, and on live TV in Fiji, that even before the results have been announced, the complete set of results have been published, there has been so many attempts to discredit it, that what will you make of it if you win the election? You are playing to the gallery of the international media who love to portray Fiji as a third world broken class citizen country where you only go to have tourism destination. If you look at the press conference that I had 2 days ago, the manner in which the media was approaching the questions, they were not ready to listen to any answers. They only had their own questions to ask, interrupted me in the middle of my press conference, thinking that we don't understand how press conferences work. And then all these allegations are thriving right now. We even have people who are now making allegations about how they handled counting in the count center, what happened and what not. One person impersonated a count center official, then published a story incriminating himself on Facebook, and now is apparently on the run. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to urge everybody to have the patience for the results data entry to complete. Once you have the results, then you go around doing whatever you want to do. We have no worries about that. There is a legal process that follows. If someone is not happy with the results, there is a legal process that follows. However, what is happening right now is based on very improper communication, feeding into the frenzy of what the international media expects. There is a huge amount of effort that has been put into the election. The turnout numbers are yet to be finalized. We have given you the turnout numbers for those that did not know. I have just told you now. Someone wanted to know how many people turned up to vote on election day. We have given you a tentative number from the provisional results. That is missing about 100 polling stations. So, the point is, at this juncture, you need to decide. There is a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of hoaxes that people are reading, but there is double the number of people who are saying it's fine, we will wait for the final result. One of the things in Fiji is that you don't believe everything on social media, because if 5 people are posting, 50 people are ignoring it. In the last election, we had this slang, likes on Facebook do not translate into votes. Let me repeat that so everybody remembers that once again. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the clarifications that I have for you for now. I am not going to comment on the nitty-gritties of the allegations that have been there without evidence. Of course, I can stand up and make 100 evidence claims and have produced nothing. Case in point, Mr. Chaudhary is still bringing the evidence from 2014, on the way from 2018, and now new voter fraud allegations in 2022. Maybe there will be a few more in the stock for the next election. But people know you already. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, the results are not final yet. The numbers haven't all come out yet. And if it continues in the manner, Donald Trump has taught the whole world a lesson. So that ends my press conference for today. Happy to take questions one by one. I will not go from here, so you don't have to rush your questions. Ask your questions one by one, and I will answer every single question you have. Yes.